Welcome to Making the Brand, the podcast where marketing and pop culture collide. I'm your host, Brianne Fleming. I can't wait to chat about brands, boy bands, and everything in between. Because brands who have a pulse on pop culture can create adoring fans of their own. Hello, Making the Brand groupies. I am so excited to have you here for the season finale of the podcast, talking about the one, the only Beyoncé. There is so much to unpack as far as what we can learn from Queen Bey, but what I think is most notable is how she's built a loyal tribe of fans. Everyone knows not to mess with the Beehive. I'm so excited to have a member of the Beehive with me today. Another one of my amazing Twitter friends, Kimberly Gordon. Hi, Kimberly.
Hi, how are you?
I'm doing well. So happy to have you here. Would you mind introducing yourself and just telling us about your love of Beyoncé and how you really first became a fan of hers?
Sure. My name is Kimberly Gordon, and I'm a brand strategist and marketing consultant. I help brands get attention from their most important audiences, whether that's customers, the media, influencers, or investors. And I've been doing it for almost 13 years now. I am a dedicated member of the Beehive. I feel like I've been preparing for this podcast my entire life. I first came in contact with Beyoncé. You know when you're like early high school and you first start going to concerts by yourself? Okay, so I went to a Destiny's Child concert. This is very late 1990s. I was wearing like my Steve Madden platform shoes.
Of course.
Yeah, I probably like tried to flat iron my hair, but like only did the bottom part, so the top was frizzy.
Been there.
And it was I was like with a group of friends. We probably looked like Bratz dolls. And I saw Destiny's Child on stage and I saw Beyoncé and I felt like it like clicked into focus. I remember it so intensely. And I remember just being like, this is my queen. This is my woman. And I've been following her career ever since. I'm talking like videos, images, social media, performances, her Twitter, like she doesn't really tweet, but like her Instagram, movies she's been in, like everything. I am all in on Beyoncé. I worship at the altar that is Beyoncé.
Wow, a super fan. I feel like finding a Beyoncé fan who really, I don't think I know anyone who's been to a Destiny's Child show or that has told me that. That must have been incredible.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
And
what
then,
city did you see them in?
It was where I grew up in Michigan. It was at an outdoor venue. It was a joint concert with Christina Aguilera and Destiny's Child.
Oh, wow. That must have been really early days then. Yeah.
Yeah, I think No was like it's just coming up into number one. And I was like feeling there's such a through line of female empowerment in all of her music.
Yes.
There was something about Destiny's Child. And it was like these three women and they were best friends and they were supporting each other. And like, of course I was like 14 being like, yeah, bills, totally get it. Totally. Like, I'm this like dorky Jewish suburban teenager. Like, yeah, I'm paying for my own bills. I don't want a man to support
I'm an independent woman. Yeah, I love it.
So funny. I was like, I'll use my bat mitzvah money. I'm not having a man support me.
Don't
but
need
yeah, that's when I first came in contact with her.
I love it. It reminds me of the first time I saw Britney Spears. I want to say it was my first concert. It was actually an NSYNC concert at the Broward County Fair in 1998. It was just a small little outdoor venue. And Britney opened for them. And I was like a pipsqueak. I was like 8 years old, whatever. And I couldn't see. All I could see was her name on this huge banner. And I remember saying to my cousin, like, who's Britney Spears? And then she became my queen among many queens like Beyoncé. But gosh, are you one of those people on the Beehive who just show up if anyone, has anything critical to say about her?
So I'm not like the latest controversies with Lana Del Rey, who's saying whatever. I mean, no, I'm not like putting lemons on people's page who I think are Becky. I'm more of a passive observer, but I'd say that I'm an intense passive observer.
Yeah, you keep the peace.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm like that too with Britney, at least online, because I don't really, I mean, who wants to start a Twitter fight? But if I'm like at a dinner party or something and someone says something bad about Britney, I'm more likely to keep the conversation going in person. But on Twitter, it's like you can never win on Twitter. So
you're not going to like pop off on someone if they start talking about Britney.
And leave a paper trail. Like, no, I don't want to do that. But yeah.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say it's unbelievable how she's built such fan loyalty. I mean, even from the Destiny's Child days. How do you think brands can do the same? What lessons can they take from Beyoncé as far as building their own tribe, if you will, like the Beehive?
I think that Beyoncé always uses an opportunity to make it bigger than just the music. It's not just about the song, it's about the implication of the song or the cultural significance of the song. And there's been so many opportunities where she uses the publicity or whatever it is to make a point. Like her Vogue cover in 2018, she used, it was the first African-American photographer to photograph her. And she
handpicked.
To take her picture. And that was like a huge deal with her band for Homecoming with the Coachella performance. She was the first African-American woman to headline the performance. And she made a joke in her documentary, like she could have so easily, like she said, I could have easily put on my flower crown and gone out there. But instead she made the performance all about historically Black university. She had an all African-American band. So she really uses the opportunity to talk about what's going on in the world and make it more than just what it is. And I think brands can take note from that when they think about like, what is the higher purpose of what I'm doing? Mm-hmm. What role am I playing in my customer's life? It's not just about what you're selling, it's the problem that you're solving for them. And I think Beyoncé does that so graciously and flawlessly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's so powerful because that's what we look for when we're choosing brands. We want to see brands that stand for something. And it's always great to see artists that use their platform for something bigger. I love that you mentioned the Vogue cover because I visited a friend of mine in Houston where Beyoncé is from, as you know.
Yes.
And the first thing we did was we drove by her house. So I kind of stalked her house a little bit, which was fun.
Like her childhood home, I assume.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Not her, like she probably has a mansion there somewhere.
Yeah.
But yeah, her childhood home. I just wanted to go and breathe in the Beyoncé air to start the day.
I'm sure. Did you like breathe it in and you magically like had a leotard on and like
right? Yeah. Glitter everywhere. Like,
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it was awesome. But after that, I forgot what exhibit it was. I want to say it was I forgot what the museum was, but it was like a style exhibit and like fashion through the years. And they had her Vogue cover on display, and it said, yeah, that she it was the first African-American photographer who she handpicked.
Yeah.
A 23-year-old photographer. I mean, she is all about propelling of movement and diversity. And we've seen it with Rihanna do it, with Fenty, but we also see brands do it. At least at the time of this recording, I saw yesterday, Crayola launched a new box of crayons called Colors of the World. I don't know if you saw that. Yeah, it's called Colors of the World, and it's a whole box set of crayons that are different skin tones. And it's like, that's the type of stuff that you want to see, that brands that stand for something.
Right.
So, yeah. And I feel like not only does Beyoncé do it in her interviews and everything, but like you said, she brings the tribe in on it with her, especially with her lyrics. It's like she creates these anthems, if you will, for all of us to sing along with her and to feel like we're part of this movement. Can you talk about, how she uses her music specifically to keep her mission going and her agendas, and maybe specifically with the Lemonade album?
Yeah, she has this through line of female empowerment in her music, and she has since the beginning. I mean, there's songs like Independent Woman, Single Ladies, Diva, Girls, We Run the World, Bills, 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 Ring the Alarm, Survivor. It's all about women stepping into their power and owning who they are.
Mm-hmm.
And she does things in her performances that calls out to who her customer is and allows you to self-identify and really rally around it.
Mm-hmm.
Can I swear on this podcast?
Go for it.
Okay. So Ronda Rousey, who's a UFC fighter, had a really famous speech where she talked about a do-nothing bitch. Sorry to anyone listening. I hope you're not offended by that. But it's this speech about you don't want to be a do-nothing bitch, which is a woman who relies on her looks in order to advance in the world and is just looking for a man to take care of her. And she uses that speech she's used that speech in her performance. So she does these things that like are these little signals to people to say who you are, and if you're following me, this is who you are.
Mm-hmm.
At her Global Citizen performance, I believe it was in 2017, before she started singing Survivor, she said she gets the crowd ramped up by doing things like, do we have any survivors in the house? Have you ever survived a bad relationship, survived an illness, a hater? This song's for you. So she calls out to you in a way that is so motivating and incredible. Mm-hmm. And always gets me so excited because I'm like, yeah, I have. And yeah, I do listen to this music and it inspires me to be a better person. Like, I think she wants women and men and anybody really to listen to her music and just be the best versions of themselves that they can be.
Yeah. And to feel something. I think, like you said, the way she introduces her songs, even it makes me think about how brands do their copywriting. Like totally. It's so much better to go that route and to get people to feel and reflect on their own experiences and to get them to identify with you that way versus just like introducing your product and not really painting that picture and reeling in your audience with that story that they can identify with. Absolutely.
And from an old, to take it, everything always goes back to marketing, but for an old marketing saying, she always makes it about you and not about her. If you'll notice in that thing, she didn't go in and say like, I'm a survivor. I survived a bad relationship. I survived an illness. I've survived haters. It's, have you done this? And I think that like, I remember hearing that and being like, wow, she's a marketer. She knows what she's doing.
Oh yeah. She is a whole marketing empire in herself. And that's such a good point because now that I think about Survivor, like I don't know if I know her original inspirations for that song. Like if it really, was relevant to her personally. Like you said, it was more like an anthem for everyone else. And that's really how all of this
I think that it was actually written about initially Destiny's Child went through like a couple different people. Her and Kelly Rowland were always in it together, but I think it was about, and there was so much bad press about it. I believe that song was written about that, but we can fact check it.
That's probably right. When you saw Destiny's Child, was it Michelle, Kelly, and Beyonce, or was it prior to that?
No, it was with the four of them.
Wow.
Michelle wasn't even there yet.
Yeah. Wow. What a moment though when she brought them back for her Super Bowl performance. Can we talk about that and just into it?
Of course I can talk about that. She brought them back for the Super Bowl. She's had them come out in Coachella. And I think this is where for branding, like the rubber meets the road because listen, she's Beyonce. She could have easily kind of been like, I'm done with those two. I'm famous now.
Yeah.
She's still so there for them. And you can tell that they're all friends and they're excited to reunite when they do. And so this is like being authentic to your brand. Like if she was constantly making songs about female empowerment and women supporting other women, she could probably get away with it and not do things like this and it would be fine.
Yeah.
But she takes every opportunity to support other women and lift other women up, and it makes her songs that much more impactful and meaningful. Yeah. I think like if you go on her website right now, she has happy birthday messages to people like Lena Waithe and Janet Jackson and Grace Jones and Naomi Campbell, and she's always paying homage to the women that have come before her. Yeah,
it's like she talks the talk and walks the walk also. Yeah. And it reminds me also, you just made me think of the Taylor Swift moment at the VMAs with Kanye West, and how,
Yes.
After Taylor was ambushed when Beyonce won another award, she made it a point to give Taylor Swift her moment. And that was a moment where she could have selfishly done another one of her own acceptance speeches, but that was just so powerful to see her uplift another young artist at the time who was just out there trying to make rising.
And like, that's her brand promise, and that's her delivering on that brand promise. I think of brands like, Sweet Green. Do you go to Sweet Green ever?
No, I don't even know what that is.
It's a chain. It's like a bougie salad chain of restaurants in a lot of major cities. But their whole brand is about sustainability and being ethical, and they pay their employees fair wages and all of these things.
Love it.
And during the global stimulus for small businesses, they received a loan from the PPE package. And when the CEO found out that a lot of the loan money was going to bigger businesses rather than truly small businesses, they returned the money. And they released a statement about it saying, this is what our mission is, sustainability and being ethical. And we don't feel like this loan is ethical because this is for truly small businesses. And they returned the money. And to me, that was like the Beyonce bringing Taylor Swift out there, Beyonce paying homage to Destiny's Child. It's so interesting when you see brands take a moment like that and really fulfill their brand promise, not just in the moments of writing website copy, but in moments where it's super visible and it's more unscripted or not. It's like, listen, when you're laying out a 6-month marketing plan, I'm sure the CMO wasn't like, what are we going to do in coronavirus when we get a loan and it's not, I think that stems from having a corporate culture that really embodies the brand.
Yeah, I mean, in those moments, that's when you really see your brand's true colors, your celebrities' true colors, all these celebrities that are coming together and helping out whoever they can, including Beyonce. I forgot which special it was. They've done so many now. Might have been iHeartRadio, actually, where she came on and just gave this amazing speech. I think she sang something. One of her songs just to unite people. And she even sang at Kobe Bryant's tribute. Like, she's just, everything she does it with class, and she does just care about other people. And she uses her platform for such good and positive conversations.
Yeah. She has her Bey Good Foundation, and they recently did a bunch of COVID testing in Houston. They organized testing and giving away protective gear and a bunch of different things. So she's always, she was voted one of the most charitable celebrities by some organization. So and I guess that brings me back to my earlier point, is that she's always doing the right thing.
Absolutely. Yeah. And she's always trying to lift people up. I mean, especially at a time where we've seen how she acts when she needs to handle controversies too, because her career is not free of controversy, at least when it comes to her personal life and her marriage. Can you talk about how first of all, give people a recap of some of the things that, have some of her bumps in the road, if you will, and how she's handled them, and also what brands can learn from how she's handled crises and controversy?
Sure. So, I've personally just forgiven Jay-Z for everything. It took me a long time to get over it. Me and my therapist, we've been talking about it for a long time. So now I'm ready to talk about it. But I was very mad at Hova for quite some time. There's a well-known saying from Winston Churchill, I believe it is, which is that you should never waste a good crisis. And I think Beyonce certainly took this to heart. The biggest scandal of her career, which everyone knows about, it was in 2014. Security camera footage came out of her sister assaulting her husband as Beyonce stood silent in the corner. As a pop culture fanatic like myself, this was like a real moment in time. Intense media scrutiny basically revealed that Jay-Z had been unfaithful to Beyonce, and that prompted Solange to beat the shit out of him. And as a little sister myself, I'm definitely the Solange. And I've never done that. But I would do something similar. And I've definitely mouthed off to some of my sister's boyfriends in
Mm-hmm.
younger years.
Yeah.
And let's just say I'm a Solange, is all I'm
Yeah.
going to say. But the video really broke the internet. And it was such a human look at what happens behind closed doors. And
Mm-hmm.
people literally lost their minds over it.
It
You
was in
could
an
not
elevator,
look.
right?
What?
It was in an elevator, right? And
It was
like,
in an elevator after the Met Ball.
yeah.
So I think a lot of brands in a similar situation, they probably completely ignore it or use corporate jargon or just try to go around it or come up with an excuse, but not our queen. She literally put out an entire album about the scandal, and it was expressing how she felt about it through music and lyrics and visuals.
Mm-hmm.
And the album was deeply personal and autobiographical. And I always loved her, but when Lemonade came out, it went to a different level.
Mm-hmm.
She really let us in, and it was so angry and raw and accessible. And it was so much more, it was such a better statement that it was so much better than a PR statement. It was so much better than an Instagram post. It was so much better than anything like that. And you just truly saw her pain. Do I sound so dramatic right now talking about this person?
No, I'm with you. I'm like clinging to your every word over here. Yeah.
And I also had, not to brag, but my son was born like 2 days or one day before her twins. And she talks a lot about being a mom and what it's like coming back from having a baby and regaining confidence in yourself. And so I related to it on such a deep and personal level. So
Yeah.
Beyonce was her moment where she really stepped out from this controversy. She never denied it.
Mm-hmm.
And she let her fans in a way that was just magic.
Yeah. And, we talk about brand authenticity a lot and how to, be authentic on social media. And it's not sweeping things under the rug, because sometimes brands get themselves in hairy situations, and, more often than not, you should address it. And she said, you know what, I'm going to address this the best way I know how. I'm not going to do an Instagram post like you said. I am going to use my platform and my voice the way I always do, and I'm going to use my music.
It was incredible, and it spawned more Twitter controversy because she obviously talked about Becky with the good hair, and then those are the moments when the Beehive really comes in, because there were various rumors on different women on who it could be, and then they were attacking those pages. It just became a social media firestorm.
Right. It gave the Beehive something to rally around, and this reason to think that we had to defend the queen and
Exactly.
and everything. There was this higher purpose to just.
She also,
I
think it's important to note that the album very much talked about the Black Lives Matter movement as well. For the Formation video, she had the mothers of Trayvon Martin, Mike Brown, and Eric Garner. She also had the three men's mother appear in her music videos.
Mm-hmm.
So she made it both personally and socially relevant and gave context to how she was feeling.
Right, right. And again, that's going to bring her closer to the people, to everyone who's passionate about propelling these social issues and promoting this conversation forward. It makes you feel even more connected to her as an artist, but as a person. And it's always great to see celebrities who have a platform to use their voice for good. And I think Beyonce is a shining example of that.
But not everyone loves that. I think she knows who her audience is and her audience isn't. When she performed Formation at the Super Bowl, people were protesting afterwards because they said it was too political and too charged. But I think in moments like that, it brings your fans closer, and the people who don't like you, I good brands know who their customer is and only speaks to that customer.
Mm-hmm.
I think Goop is a really good example of that. Whether or not you like it, they know who their customer is and speaks directly to it.
Yeah, I mean, there's always a risk if you're going to bring in this type of maybe political conversation. And we see brands do it pretty often, actually. And there's always some mixed reviews. We saw Nike do it with Colin Kaepernick.
Yep.
We saw Gillette with the toxic masculinity. And, you know, yeah, it is a risk to go there. And then sometimes people feel like, why are brands talking about this? But it's still going to prompt that conversation. And it all just ties back to the people who run the brand, what they believe in and what they want to stand for. And that's up to them. You don't have to buy Nike shoes or Gillette razors if it's not something you identify with. You don't have to buy Beyonce's album, but that's really, in my opinion, what it means to be authentic, is to just be unapologetically yourself, no matter who it might rub the wrong way.
Absolutely.
Let's talk more about her Super Bowl performance and Coachella and all of these things, just about how she packages up her performance. I know there's a lot to talk about as far as her visuals and just how she presents her work and herself.
She always has a theme. Mm-hmm. So you see for Coachella, it was very much homecoming. And it was her homecoming after she had her twins, Rumi and Sir, which maybe they'll be friends with my kids at some point. We'll see, fingers crossed, because they are born one day apart. Yeah. I felt very connected to Beyonce while I was in labor. My husband kept being like, Beyonce had her babies recently too. And I was like, I know, this is meant to be. We're the same. So it was all about homecoming. Mm-hmm. And she paid homage to historically Black universities. There was a 100-person band. All the costumes and imagery paid homage to that. And another thing I love about Beyonce is that she's so good at taking a theme and pulsing it in every different channel. Mm-hmm. So the stage costumes, what she's putting out on her social media, what her website looks like, what she's talking about at that time, what her interviews are, what the artwork looks like for her album cover. It all works together and it all makes sense. And I think that is such an important lesson for brands too. Mm-hmm. When you go to her Instagram page versus go to her website versus seeing her in a picture, it all feels and looks the same and it's always cohesive.
Mm-hmm. Even down to what she wears. I mean, I love a good Beyonce fashion statement. You know, she always knows how to dress and just makes a statement everywhere she goes.
Always. And she was the first African-American woman to headline Coachella as well, which is incredible.
Yeah, quite an accomplishment. I love her song. I'm sure you know it. Her song, I Was Here, where she just, yeah, it's like she's singing about this impact that she's leaving on the world. I think people are going to look at Beyonce for years to come and just the history she's making in her own way.
I believe that song was inspired by her experience after 9/11.
Oh, I'm going to have to go back and listen to it again. Yeah, it's one of my favorites.
Talking about how she wants to make an impact on the world, a positive impact on the world after 9/11.
Yeah, so powerful, so powerful. I do want to talk more about her Instagram because I feel like compared to other Instagram accounts, to me, hers feels very calculated, and it could be part of just her branding. I feel like she always posts like 3 photos at a time usually, and it's all the same outfit, or like she is very selective about when she posts a caption or when she doesn't. Like she kind of does it her own way. So what are your impressions of her Instagram?
She very much does it her own way. And what I'm surprised you didn't talk about is that she has 146 million followers. And the most interesting part is that she follows no one.
Yeah.
Which can be interpreted in many ways. Mm-hmm. I think it is absolutely very calculated, and I love it. Yeah. Her captions feel like she writes them. They're so deeply personal. She often expresses a lot of gratitude. She does truly epic photo shoots. She did the one with her twins at the beach, the one announcing her pregnancy. I think it was one of the most liked photos on Instagram ever. There's always little Easter eggs that her insane fans are looking for. Like in her pregnancy announcement, she was wearing this little bra, and it had one blue bow and one pink bow on the sides. And that was like her signal that she's having twins. It, to me, her Instagram feels more like a scrapbook than like a typical Instagram feed.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like it's almost like a scrapbook where she just documents everything, but I don't really I wouldn't say she's known for like two-way communication and like engaging with her fans.
No.
Do you think it's negative?
Our queen is not responding to her fans. Yeah. She's too busy to do that. Yeah, I wouldn't even want her to respond to me because she has more important things to do than to respond to me.
Yeah.
No, and I think that's her. Like, she communicates with her fans through her art, and I think that she's made that so clear at every opportunity. Like, I think the last time she did an interview was like a video interview. She'll do like sit downs with magazines, like the Vogue one that we talked about, but I don't think she's done an on-camera interview in like almost 10 years.
Huh. Yeah, I've never really noticed that. I mean, I've seen her do her commentary when she does these pandemic specials and things like that, but yeah, I've never seen her actually sit down with someone in a pretty long time. She's got to go on Ellen or something.
No, she's in control of her messaging. I feel like she doesn't leave anything to chance or anything to error.
And that's just so mind-boggling to think about, because when we think about social media and branding, I mean, we're always talking about two-way communication and to engage with your audience, and yet people still worship her and she doesn't communicate. I want, like, what do you think, what kind of message does that really send? Or how should brands take anything away from that? Or is that just Beyonce being Beyonce because she's Beyonce and she can do that and it's her world?
I think the lesson there is that you have to be of course, there's always marketing rules, but I'm a big believer in sometimes zigging when everyone zags. And listen, if you're a clothing company, I'd say, yeah, it's probably a bad idea to not respond to Instagram comments.
Yeah.
But if you're Beyonce, and you might make fun of me about my interpretation of this, but I think she considers herself an artist and she wants you to sit with her art and feel it and interpret it. It's not necessarily meant to be a conversation between you and her. It's meant for you to ingest it and think about it in a different way. Like, think about the Black Lives Matter movement. Think about what she's doing with Baygood and all of the testing that she's providing in Houston. Think about, the infidelity that she talks about and how you interpret that.
Yeah.
So no, it's not right for everyone, but I think it also, there's something about her that I like, that she's like a little more mysterious to me. Like, I don't want her to be so available. I like that when you get her, she's on point. Do you know that she rehearsed for 8 months for Coachella?
I have seen that viral tweet.
She rehearsed 8 months for I think it's like a 92-minute performance. Yeah. Can you imagine preparing 8 months for like a PowerPoint presentation that you're presenting to your team?
Yeah.
Or like a class that you're about, like, you teach all the time. Like, how long does it take you to put together a presentation?
And it would be close to that. No, I'm just kidding.
You're like, actually, I did it 10 months, I've got her beat, Kimberly.
Yeah, but no, I mean, everyone has their own version of their own stage, if you will, and you want to be on top of your game in every way possible. And I think she's a perfect example of that,
Yeah.
And it's also like her lack of engagement, like, that's her brand voice is almost like not having a voice or not putting herself out there and interacting as much. It's making a statement in itself, like her
like when she brings when she's doing rallies for she performed at a Hillary Clinton rally. She raised $4 million for Obama. She did the Mi Gente remix, and all proceeds went to, I believe it was Hurricane Irma. So she is speaking, but she's speaking in a way, again, like she's a control freak and everything is so calculated and engineered, but
Yeah.
she is letting her voice out, but it's always on her terms.
On her terms. That's exactly what I was going to say. And for brands, I mean, it's okay to have your brand voice on your terms too. I mean, Wendy's decided to switch things up and to be this sassy kind of fast food bully. Like, it's a way to zig when everyone zags, like exactly what you said.
Wendy's is incredible.
Yeah, they're so savage.
Did you see the DiGiorno tweet?
I did. Yes. Did they respond? Did Wendy's respond? But yeah, I mean, that was a diss in itself. It was very Wendy's like.
Yeah, and I guess maybe the lesson there is like you have to make it what's right for your brand. Like if you're a B2B tech company, like do you need to be on Pinterest? Probably not.
Yeah.
Should you have a YouTube channel? I don't know. Are you going to put a lot of resources behind it? Mm-hmm. I think the lesson there is like figuring out what your voice is, what channels it works on, and what channels it doesn't work on.
I love that, because I feel like a question people have a lot is, why do I need to be on every social media platform? And personally, I don't think you do. And at least for personal brands, I don't think you do. But I guess even for brands, you're right. Like a tech company on Pinterest, maybe not. What is your perspective on that, as far as, do you need to be present on every platform?
I'll tell you a funny story that will give you your perspective on it. Mm-hmm. I worked at a tech company for a long time. It's called On Deck. They did small business loans online. Mm-hmm. And our target customers were mostly men and some women between the ages of 35 and 55. And 35 was like young. And I did a big presentation one day to like the whole company about, I think it was our social media strategy or our brand strategy, or I don't know. I did not prepare 8 months for it though. I'll tell you that. And afterwards, this guy came up to me and he was like, Kimberly, I got an idea that's going to blow your mind. You ready for it?
Oh,
I was like, yeah, what's up? Like Derek, whatever the hell his name was. And he was like, we should start a Snapchat page.
Ooh, groundbreaking.
Like, why? And he's like, it's so cool. Do you want to see this like Snapchat I sent my friend Jonesy? Or like, and he like for like 10 minutes he cornered me and he's like, Snapchat. And I'm like, we're like,
just so clueless.
I don't see like, I'm like, no, I don't think that Snapchat is like it for us. Like if we were selling, I'm trying to think of like where a brand might have a lot of success on Snapchat. Like what kind of brand? Like Supreme. If I was Supreme, I'd be like, yeah, we should create really compelling Snapchat content. Mm-hmm. But for like a technology company, and I think I was pretty nice about it, but I kept being like, so like, do you think our customers are there? Do you think this is like an untapped target for us? So I tell you that story to say, no, I don't think brands should be on every channel. And I actually think it's a disservice if you're doing it, because then you're losing focus and resources and time and budget and optimization, all those things, and as opposed to channels where it really makes sense.
Yeah, if you're just half-assing things and you're just doing it just to have a presence on Snapchat and it's not yielding any results, like that's just such a waste of resources. Yeah. No, I hear you. So the Beyoncé lessons continue. Like, do what works for you, what's right for your brand, and go where your people are. Like, ask yourself where your audience is. And Beyoncé, I mean, let's be real. I feel like her audience is everywhere now because she just has mass appeal. But
of course, and she's Beyoncé. But I think for her, it's more about where do I want to put the resources behind?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So much we can learn from Beyoncé. Is there anything else you want to chat about with our queen?
Yes. I want to know what your favorite Beyoncé song is.
That's a good one. I really love, I don't know if it's probably an unpopular opinion, but I remember playing If I Were a Boy on repeat in my freshman.
Oh, it's so good.
And again, it's standing for something is another one of her women empowerment anthems. I really love her ballads. I know that's, again, probably a little unpopular, but
No, very popular with me. She did a kind of like remix of that in one of her live performances with
ooh,
Alanis Morissette's You Ought to Know. I'm going to send it to you after this.
oh, I love a good mashup like that. I love If I Were a Boy, Halo, of course. I
Beautiful.
Was Here. Yeah, I really love a
You
good.
like you like the ballads.
I do. I even like
Yeah.
Listen. I like Irreplaceable. Gosh,
Yeah, no, you're definitely feeling the ballads.
yeah. Okay, now I need to know yours and also your favorite video.
So this is a very layered question for me because I have different answers for different things.
Like choosing
Like
children.
if I want to dance, like if I'm like working out or just like alone dancing in my room as one does, as a mother of two babies does.
Yes.
Um, Get Me Bodied is my favorite.
Oh, okay. Okay.
To
Yes.
watch her perform, for
Mm-hmm.
her to dance to, I like Diva because the dance moves to that is the best.
Ooh.
But
Yeah.
for lyrics, my favorite song is Formation because it has the best 8 words I've ever heard for anybody listening. And it's always stay gracious, best revenge is your paper.
Ooh.
Should we end it on that?
Mic drop. Well, no, you just reminded me of an iconic lyric recently when she just did the Savage remix.
Oh, it's so good.
You said, if you don't jump to put jeans on, you don't feel my pain. Like, ugh, I love that.
Oh my God. I always try to listen to the Savage remix with my son in the car, who's not even 3. Is it appropriate? Maybe, but you know what? I'm doing it anyways. And he's always like, Mommy, can you turn this off?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh no.
And I'm like, no, I can't. I can't turn it off. Sorry.
Let him grow up a little bit and he'll be on the Beyonce train just like the rest
Yeah.
of us.
So yeah, no. So that's my answer to my favorite.
I love
Beyonce.
it. I love the layers. That's such a genius way of doing it.
Oh, I'm a super fan.
Yeah, you really proved it to me. Wow. Tell people where everyone can follow you, keep up with all the Beyonce love.
Sure, you can find me on Twitter at KSolars.
Perfect. Awesome. Well, this was a blast. I feel like, do you know when her next album's coming out? I feel like we're in a bit of a drought.
So her mom Tina
Yes.
did an interview. I have an answer to every one of your questions.
I love it. That's why you're here.
Her mom, Tina, who is fabulous and designed all of their costumes in Destiny's Child, and she did a fashion line with her called House of Darion. She gave an interview to the Wall Street Journal and said that Beyonce had borrowed some of her art pieces and had something in the works.
Okay.
But she's notorious. Like, she dropped her album Beyonce in the middle of the night and it became the number one album. Like, she does not do press. She does not do promotion. She just lets the art and the music speak for itself. So I don't know. She had an album with Jay-Z, Everything Is Love, last year that I personally loved.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see.
Keeps us on our toes for sure.
When it drops, I'll come back and I'll have a whole dissertation on the launch and what I think of it and the lessons we can learn.
Yeah, and how it was promoted by not being promoted and all the marketing takeaways from that.
Yeah, and we'll both wear sparkly leotards. Even this podcast. Actually, listeners, we're wearing sparkly leotards right now.
Yeah, for the record, yes. I know you can't see us, but we are decked out. Love it. You are welcome back anytime. This was a blast.
I think good.
I think we made our queen proud. I think she would agree with a lot of our takeaways and be honored by how we're representing her.
She would. She'd be so proud of you with everything you do with your podcast, and she would be. And she'd be proud of us for joining forces. 2 women working, trying to get everything out there, doing it all. She really would be. I truly believe that.
I believe it too. Paying our bills, being independent, surviving out here.
You know what? I've been that way since that concert when I was 14. Totally relating to her, to her message.
Yep.
Even though I got picked up in a minivan from that concert and had to go get the rubber bands on my braces changed probably the next day.
Got to start somewhere. I love it. Thank you so much, Kimberly. This was a blast. And I think we ended this season the best way we know how, talking about Beyonce. So thank you so much. And I'll definitely
Thanks for having me. Okay. Bye.
Thank you.
If you're a fan of this podcast, be sure to subscribe, or better yet, leave a review. You can also join our Facebook group called Making the Brand Groupies for real-time pop culture discussions you can actually learn from. As always, thanks for listening.